Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're excited to tour Utopia of the Seas, which, as you might already know, is one of the largest ships in the entire world. And I take you on a full tour to show you every single thing on board, to include the boarding process, the pools, the bars, all the entertainment options, as well as all the food options on board, the cabin tour, clubs, staff service, the adult only areas, the kids clubs, you name it, we take a look at it. By the time you get done watching this video, you'll know if booking Utopia of the Seas is the right move to make for you and your family, and also you get a chance to understand exactly what you're getting yourself into. So let's get started right now. On occasion, I'll look at ship reviews and I'll hear horrific stories about the boarding process. However, I have nothing bad to report in boarding. From the time we left our car until the time we walked on board the ship was approximately 35 minutes. So I think that was pretty good. So boarding the ship was not an issue whatsoever. There's a famous saying out there that goes, you don't get a second chance to make a first impression. So when I first walked on board Utopia of the Seas, my energy level was through the roof. And I gotta say, it did not disappoint. Now, when you first enter, you enter the Royal Promenade. It doesn't have an atrium on board. And this is the central area of the ship. And it was massive. Just looking around, you see the cameras panning around right now. You see how large and expansive it is. The first thing I thought about it was, wow, it doesn't feel like I'm on board a ship. It looks like you walked into a mall or some place on land, but it is just absolutely massive. There's shops all the way around, and there's people just all over the place. So it's a great grand entrance. The first place to go is going to be to your muster station, and you don't really have to worry about where that is because there are people all around pointing you in the right direction to help you get there. So it wasn't a grand entrance where people are celebrating, happy, and there's music playing and all that kind of stuff. It was just fantastic because of how it looked. But the first thing you want to do is head to your muster station. Now, here's something you'll notice, and it's primarily on the first day. It doesn't really happen throughout the rest of the ship, but just look around for people who are wearing the same shirt. And I at first thought it was pretty corny until I did it myself, and I do it probably about maybe half the time I cruise. Me and my family, the people we're with, we have the same shirt on. It's a cool thing, and it really only happens the first day, but look around for all those families wearing the same shirt. Here's my first pro tip to you. If you're boarding the ship late, then I recommend you bring your luggage on board. That way you can kind of just walk it directly to your room. However, if you're going to be one of the first people to get on board, do not take your luggage. And here's why. You're going to be stuck with that luggage for several hours until your cabin is ready, because oftentimes it's not ready when you first board the ship. So if you bring all your luggage on board, what you're going to end up doing is simply finding a place to sit down and babysit your luggage, which is not what you want to do when there's a lot of things going on the first day. So I recommend you checking your luggage if you're boarding early. Now, here's the thing that I always do, and I bring a backpack and I walk around with that, and it has all my important stuff, my money, my passport, travel documents, any kind of medication, things that are of high value. I put it in my backpack and I walk with that. That way you can explore the ship as soon as you get on board. One of the first things I recommend you do once you get on board is head to the top deck, and that's where you're going to have your sail away party. The sail away party is where they play loud music, they have a DJ, sometimes a band, and that's where you're going to meet your entertainment team as well as your cruise director. And they get the cruise started in the right way by getting you all excited. Great time to start your drink package and just begin to enjoy being on board. Now, if you're not a big dancer, the reality is that most people at the sail away party aren't dancing. They're just sitting around watching other people dance. So if you're thinking to yourself, hey, look, this is not going to be for me, don't count yourself out. Go and see what it's all about. If at the very least, you'll get an opportunity to watch people dance, act crazy, gyrate their bodies, and just make a fool of themselves. And I recommend you join in that fun. One of the things I thought about before even coming on board was how would they pull the sail away party off? Now, this ship is massive. It has about 7,000 passengers. So how do you get 7,000 people in one area dancing together? There's usually no place on board that can accommodate that many people. So when I went on to the top deck and was at the sail away party, what I realized that they did was they pretty much spread everyone out in order to get that feeling like everyone's together. They had video cameras, they were recording it, they were putting it on a big main screen. Was it the best sail away party I've ever been to? No, it was kind of disjointed. However, was it bad? It wasn't bad at all. However, it just wasn't as great as I was hoping, but under the circumstances, it was as good as it could be. This is the Royal Promenade. This is where we first entered the ship from. And as you can see, it's massive. It's like a football field long. You can find shops, entertainment, lounges down here. It has a natural light that comes in here, and it's a great space to hang out and meet and just enjoy different festivities that happen all throughout the day and night. Let's switch gears and head to the Windjammer buffet. More than anything else on board, with maybe the exception of entertainment, passengers on board love to eat. And it's an all-you-can-eat experience, and we're gonna do that in the Windjammer buffet, which is the only main buffet on the entire ship. And the Windjammer buffet, as you can imagine, with the ship being so large, is huge. When it comes to food, there's generally two things I look for. And the first one is going to be the quality of the food. How good does the food taste? The next thing is going to be the variety. Are there a whole lot of different types of food? Because you have people who have a lot of different dietary restrictions, or people who just don't want to eat certain things. So it has to be a lot of different things for you to choose from. So when it comes to the quality, the food here on board was pretty exceptional. I really didn't find a lot of things that weren't done well. So when it comes to the quality of the food, you're going to be in safe hands on board. When it comes to variety, you're not going to be disappointed. There are tons of things to eat on board. And one of the things I loved is that they were things that I really weren't familiar with, and as well as familiar favorites. So if you like to explore and try new things, you're going to be in safe hands. You know, if you're like, want to eat just fruits all day long, or vegetables, or salads, no matter what your choices or what your food restrictions, you're going to find something here that fits your dietary needs. One of the cool things they had on board was an omelet station. All you did was walk up, take a token, make your order, and then when your omelet was ready, the token starts to vibrate, you walk back, you get your omelet. That saves you having to stand there and watch them make your omelet. Here is something you want to make sure you do on the first day, and that's go to the Windjammer buffet. And the reason why is because they serve lobster. They only do it on the first day, and it's all you can eat lobster. Now, they serve it for you and put it on your plate, but you can keep coming back for more, and you can get as many as you can fit on that plate. So it's all you can eat lobster. And well, was it the best lobster I've ever had? No. However, it's lobster, and it's all you can eat, so definitely try that out. Included in your cruise fare is all you can drink water and lemonade, and there's usually some type of fruit juice that's included too as well. There's also unlimited decaf and caffeinated coffee, as well as unlimited tea that you can drink. And all of this is at no extra cost, and it's included in your cruise fare. I have a specific segment about the drink package. However, if you get one of the soda packages, there are soda dispensers throughout the entire ship where you can get all the soda you want to drink all day long. We're going to talk more extensively about this. However, if you're in the main buffet and you want to drink alcohol, there is a thirst quencher bar where you can go there and your alcohol package works just fine. One of the things I got to give Royal Caribbean massive stars for is their sanitation station. They definitely take this very seriously. The moment you enter the Windjammer Cafe, you're going to see a sanitation area that's like huge. Lots of places for you to wash hands, also sanitizer dispensers. And look at this dancer right here. He's just all excited about getting you to remember to use sanitation. So I really take my hat off to Royal Caribbean, not just on the design of the sanitation station, but how much priority they put on it. There's also soft serve ice cream on board. I love ice cream. Was it the best ice cream I've ever had? No, it's just adequate. You know, that's the best way I can describe it. I wish I could say more, but it was just adequate. When it comes to seating in the Windjammer Cafe, of course, the most premium seating is going to be a window seat. And one thing I really enjoy about the service staff is that they really worked hard to get those window seats clean. So if you're at a window seat and you leave, somebody will be right over to clear the table because they know that someone else wants that window seat. So there were lots of window seats. Also, there's an interior viewing location within the Windjammer Cafe. So if you can't find a window seat that looks out on the ocean, you can find one that maybe looks interior down into Central Park. It's kind of hard to explain unless you've been on board, but essentially there's window seats on both sides of the Windjammer Cafe. So there are a lot more window type seats on board this ship than say a traditional ship. If buffet style eating is not your thing, then there are plenty of other food options available on board. And essentially it's broken down into 3 categories. There are places that are 100% free. That's like the Windjammer buffet and other places on board. And there's hybrid places where you go, some things are free and then some things you have to pay for. And then there's other places, specialty restaurants, where everything that you order, you have to pay for. And we're gonna go through all of them and tell you the good and the bad about all the different options. Let's continue by talking about totally free restaurants. Now we talked about the Windjammer buffet, that's one of them, and that's the main one. That's where most people sit down and have something to eat. Then there is Sorrento's. The great thing I like about Sorrento's is that the pizza there is terrific. It's also located in the Royal Promenade, which is a prime spot on board the ship. So I love there because also the pizza tastes fantastic. Look at this pizza right here. It looks great and it tastes wonderful. So it's a great spot to eat. The next place we're going to talk about is El Loco Fresh. If you like Mexican food, this is a huge and popular favorite place to go. So El Loco Fresh is another major popular and good option for you to eat. And everything again at these 2 restaurants are 100% free. Now there's also Doghouse. They serve hot dogs and the hot dogs are good. It's a limited menu, of course, because the hot dog is, there's not much to do with that, but it's also one of the options that are 100% totally free. The next type of place that we're going to talk about are going to be the hybrid. This is the restaurants where you go and some of the things you have to pay for and some of the things are free. And the first place that we're going to talk about is Cafe Promenade, and you can have gourmet coffee here. Now you can have unlimited caffeinated and decaf in the main buffet and throughout other portions of the ship. However, if you want specialty coffee, then this you're going to have to pay for, and the main place you can get it is going to be Cafe Promenade. The next one is one of my favorites, and it's Solarium Bistro. And I really like this one because it has a more adult type feel to it. Now, some things on the menu are free. However, there are upcharges for things like lobster or special cuts of meat, but it's a really nice space. It's great because you can change it up from going to the main dining room every single night. The next one is going to be Park Cafe. It's one of my favorites because it's located in Central Park. So if you like ambiance and just have a nice quiet venue and just maybe drink a nice cup of coffee, then you're going to be in luck here. The challenge though is that the coffee and other beverages are an upcharge while the sandwiches generally tend to be free and included. I just sat down in the main dining room, so I'm going to try the food. The waiter says it's supposed to be spectacular. However, I think he's a little biased. But anyway, I'm going to give you my true, raw, honest opinion of the food, so let's go try it. Let's head on now to the main dining room. Now, when I first came on board, I thought there was going to be multiple dining rooms kind of spread all throughout the ship, but that's not the case at all. There's just one main dining room, and it is massive. It's spread between several floors, so you can be on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th floor, and you can still be in the main dining room. It's in the aft of the ship, and all of the food that you have here in the main dining room, for the most part, is fully included. They offer breakfast as well as dinner daily, and on sea days, they offer lunch. It is massive, it is beautiful, and it's where most people eat during the evening time. Now, when it comes to dining here, you really have 2 options. The first one is traditional dining. This, you have the same waiter, the same time, same table. So this is great, especially if you want a waiter to know your drink options or what you like to, what you like to drink or what you like to eat or any kind of dietary restrictions. This is wonderful. Also, you have anytime dining. You can just show up when you want. You have to make reservation, but you get a different table every night, and also you get different waiters, so it gives you a chance to kind of explore a little bit more and also have a lot more flexibility. Regardless of which dining option you choose, you're going to have a rotating menu that changes every night. There are going to be some familiar favorites, and also if you want to pay a little bit more, you can have specialty things, specialty cuts of meats or seafood options that are available at an extra cost. But for the most part, most everything on the menu is free and included. When it comes to the quality of the food in the main dining room, you're not going to be disappointed. It's a step up from the main buffet, so you're going to be having better tasting food. And as you can see from all the selections that are scrolling across your screen, it has a variety of food and they all taste really good. The great thing is that if you don't like something, you can send it back and you can try something else. And they serve courses, so you can have an appetizer, an entree, your main course, as well as a dessert. So it's really nice, classic dining experience, and most everything again is included in your cruise experience, so you don't have to pay extra for most of the things that are offered in the main dining room. Now, if you have kids, there is a kids menu. The dress code is pretty much relaxed, and if you're vegan or vegetarian, there are special dietary menus, so just go ahead and ask for that and they'll make it available when you request it. If you like smaller crowds and a sit-down meal, then the main dining room is going to be a great selection for you. Now, when it comes to the service staff, they were, in my opinion, exceptional. Now, it's generally going to be a grab bag. Sometimes if you're on anytime dining, you're not going to get as great a service experience because the servers don't really know who you are. They don't know your preferences. If you want better service, in my opinion, then go ahead and with the time dining. But overall, the service, in my opinion, was exceptional. They were attentive. They wanted to serve you. The biggest challenge that you'll find is going to be a language barrier. But outside of that, the service on board was simply exceptional. I like the main dining room because it gives you a classy experience, and one of the things I think that elevates that experience is by having a hard menu. A lot of ships now are going towards digital menus, and I think it takes away from the dining experience. I love the fact that they still use a hard menu. Now, there is a celebration that's done by the staff members, and you let me know if you think it's appropriate or you think it's not done in good taste, or what you think, because some people feel that this is just a nuisance, they need to stop it, and others love it. They start dancing, waving their handkerchiefs in the air, or whatever. They have a great time messing around with the staff, and the staff, I think, has a good time doing it too. It kind of loosens you up and makes the atmosphere a little bit more fun and more festive. However, some people don't like it. You let me know what you think in the comments section. There are several specialty restaurants on board, and we're going to show you that on the screen right now. Now, these restaurants are not included in your cruise fare. You have to pay extra per item, per cover charge. So you can make your reservation through the Royal Caribbean app or at any dining desk. Now, these are higher end restaurant style experiences compared to the free venues on board that we talked about earlier. Now, they have a la carte menus, so you pay only for what you order rather than a full flat rate or set fee. Now, what can you expect to pay at these restaurants? Well, similar to land-based restaurants, you can pay anywhere from $10 to $50 per entrees. Now, these restaurants, the good thing is that they're smaller, they're more intimate, and they have a full wait service staff and your premium ingredients. So it's sold separately, and it's done by Royal Caribbean, and you can get ultimate dining packages that include multiple restaurants. So if you are looking for a more elevated dining experience, like say you're having a birthday, anniversary, retirement party, you name it, and you want to have something that's a little bit more upscale than say the regular restaurant, then the a la carte specialty dining restaurant are going to be your best bet. Let's head on now to deck 15, and that's where you're going to find the main pool. And I'm going to pan the camera around so you can kind of get an idea of what the pool looks like. But as you can see, it's a pretty expansive area, and it's not just one pool, it's multiple pools, and each pool kind of serves a different purpose. And if you go behind the pool area, it's still on deck 15, you'll find areas for the kids. There are slides all over, and we'll go to all of that. But it is a really nice pool deck with lots of chairs, loungers, and umbrellas, so you'll not be disappointed when it comes to the pool. There are plenty of seating available on board. If you want to reserve a seat, which you're not supposed to do, but nobody stops you from doing it, you got to get out like 7:30, especially if you want to get one right next to the pool. And I saw people doing that. Just put a personal item down coupled with a towel, and that seems to work. There's also going to be 2 water parks. The bigger of the 2 for older kids is going to be Splash Away Bay. And if you have younger tykes, little babies, there's also the baby, what is it called? Baby Bay? It's called Baby Bay. And that's going to be the smaller one for little kids. And you can see adults playing with their kids in there. It's a wonderful area. Both of them done exceptionally well. There is an adult-only area that we'll get to a little bit later on in the program. However, I gotta say, if you have young kids and you're thinking about whether or not this is gonna be the right cruise ship for them, whether or not they're gonna enjoy their time on board, they absolutely are going to enjoy the water park. This is an area that they can come and spend the entire day having a great time. There are also several whirlpools scattered throughout the entire pool area. Now, the good and bad news is that normally the kids love the whirlpool and they come and they take this over. However, there's an adult whirlpool. We'll get to that a little bit later. But if you like whirlpools in this area, it's going to be a lot of kids in there that you'll have to share the space with. There are tons of water slides on board, and if you are concerned about your kids' safety, then the good news is there are plenty of lifeguards. I saw lifeguards in places that didn't even, in my opinion, need a lifeguard. However, there are tons of lifeguards around, as well as plenty of life vests. Now, if you want to have a shower, there are outdoor showers available on the pool deck, and you can get towels from the pool deck area. You just have to use your room key card. Now, be careful because they track how many towels you take. So if you take more towels than you actually turn in, at the end of the cruise, you're going to be left with a bill. Here's a pro tip for parents traveling with kids who intend to use a water slide. If your kids are going to use the slides, sign the waiver form when you get on board because they're going to need that in order to use the slides.
One of the big reasons that people choose to cruise is because of all the entertainment options on board. So let's go see all there is to see and do.
Let's now switch gears and talk about entertainment. Entertainment is going to be popular on board. I recommend, if you plan on going to a lot of entertainment venues, download the ship app and make reservations. Sometimes they sell out and they are people they put at the front door to check reservations. But usually 10 minutes before the show starts, they just open it up and let anyone in. But if you want a guaranteed seat, especially some of the more popular venues, then make sure you get a reservation. The majority of the entertainment is going to take place in the main theater. And I was absolutely blown away at the quality of the shows in the main theater. They had people that were floating in the air. They had huge wall screens, choreographed music. It was absolutely fantastic. There were even drones that were flying around. How they did this was absolutely remarkable. One of the best shows on the ocean you'll ever find anywhere is going to be on board Utopia. So the main theater entertainment was absolutely mind-blowing. So come prepared to be entertained and wowed. One of the many things I love about cruising is that there is so much to see and do on board. Whether you're 5 or 95, you're going to find plenty, and I do mean plenty of things to keep you entertained and busy throughout the day, morning until night. Now, one of the things I highly recommend you do is download the Royal Caribbean app and familiarize yourself with how to use it. Plot things in your calendar so you can know at least what's going on and have options to do it. Now, I really loved that they had so much things for you to do, and it's one of the biggest benefits, in my opinion, about being on board. There are lots of specialty entertainment venues on board, but one of the big ones is going to be the Royal Promenade. That's where a lot of things happen. They have parades here, as well as parties, dance parties, you name it, it's going to happen because it's one of the main gathering places and one of the largest open spaces on board. So there's tons of things that are going to be happening right there in the main promenade. And the good thing is that it's normally accessible to everyone. So no matter whether you're sailing in one of the more bigger cabins or one of the cheapest thing on board, all the entertainment venues are available for you to use and have a great time. One of the things I thought they did really well was small bands. I think that Royal Caribbean has exceptional talent when it comes to in this area, and I was thoroughly entertained when it came to small bands. So definitely, they're still leading the pack in my opinion when it comes to live entertainment. This may certainly be unique to me, but I love karaoke. And the reason why is because you never know what you're gonna get. It's like a bag of chocolates. You reach in and you get somebody who can, sing really well, and they just blow you away. And then the best part, the most entertaining part, is those people who cannot sing, who sometimes don't know it, get on stage and they just tear it up in a bad way. But I really like karaoke on board, and they have a special venue just for that. One of the things I was not necessarily impressed with, and that was their DJs. I just didn't feel their DJs were all that great. Not all of them. I would say half were, but the other half, oh my gosh. But also, if you love movies, there's an outdoor movie in the Aqua Theater, which brings us to the next thing I want to talk about. If you don't do anything on board and you had to do one thing, the number one thing I would recommend you do, and that is going to be the Aqua Theater. By far, a mile. It was the best entertainment value and venue on board. They were folks that were jumping from hundreds of feet in the air. They were dancing on the water. They were coming up out of the water. They were doing things. They were flying in the air. They were doing a whole lot of things that made you think, wow, how in the world do they do that? The coordination, the lights, the dancing, everything was just spectacular. One of the greatest entertainment acts I've ever seen in my entire life, and that is a high bar to me. And I would definitely recommend you book it early, because it was, in my opinion, always sold out. It was always a full crowd, and I think people really appreciated it. So definitely the show that you don't want to miss is going to be the Aqua Theater. There is an ice skating ring on board. The show was great. I have no problems with the show. However, because I was so blown away with the entertainment in the main theater and the Aqua performance, I just expected that this was going to be also the greatest skating performance I've ever seen. Now, don't get me wrong, it's good, but I've seen better. One of the good things about this show, though, it does have a sort of a theme. Oftentimes, you'll have entertainment that's done on the main stage, and there's no rhyme or reason to what you're looking at. It's just a bunch of lights and everything else like that. But however, there was a theme and a storyline to the skate and performance, which made me really appreciate it even more so. There is a large smoking casino on board, as you would expect. Gambling is not for everyone, and you have to walk through the casino to get to some portions of the ship. And it's a smoking casino. However, I think they dealt with the smoke pretty well, and there's a non-smoking casino as well. So I think when it comes to the casino, be prepared to find every single game that you can find on board a cruise ship. It had the gamut, the full gamut, table games, slot machines, you name it. If you can think of a game that they would play at a casino, they're more than likely going to be able to find it here. And it was a full casino. It was pretty much full the entire time it was open that I could see. There is a sports court on board, and it's a large sports courts area with tons of things for you to see and do. There is soccer. The big favorite is going to be pickleball. There's putt-putt golf. There is the flow ride or surfing, and you can surf on your stomach, and you can surf standing up, and you can see people from all ages, falling down and getting taken away by the water. It's a fun environment. There's pickleball. I already said pickleball. There's cornhole, zip lining. There is seated soccer. I never even seen that before. Table tennis, you name it. There's tons of things for you to do at the sports court. And as you can expect, it's a huge sports court area. You got to wonder where they find space for all this stuff, but it's all here, and it's all free and included in your cruise fare. You don't have to pay extra for any of this stuff. Now, at the back of the ship is a big monster type looking thing, and it's called the Ultimate Abyss. It's a slide essentially, and it's one of the things I like about it is that you don't have to get wet going down it. It's a slide that you have like a mat, and you slide down it, so you can probably pretty much slide down in what you have on. The bad thing about this is I wasn't that entertained. It looks great and it's free and included, but it just wasn't. It didn't give me the wow factor that I was expecting it would. There is an arcade on board, and the only thing I like about the arcade is that if it's raining outside, it gives you a place that you can go, especially if you have kids, and have fun without having to be outside. Because a lot of stuff I talked about at sports court and elsewhere on the ship is outside activities. However, when it rains, everyone comes inside, and the arcade is a good place. Be careful though, the games average around $2.50, so you don't want to necessarily have your kids go in here for long periods of time, because they will run that bill up really fast and really high. Cruising is just not for everyone. Even those people who like cruising can only tolerate maybe short period of times on board, maybe 3 days or so. Then they want to get off. And the good news is that no matter what cruise you're on, it's taking you somewhere that's new, that has different foods, people, things that you've never done before. And the good news about this ship is no different. It's going to take you somewhere for you to experience a different part of the world. I recommend personally that you get off the ship because you're going to have an experience that you can't find at your home venue. If you decide to go on shore, you have one or two options. You can do an excursion on your own. If you do an excursion on your own, you're going to be saving like 50+% on the cost of the excursion. You do it through the ship, you're going to pay more. However, the people who do the excursion with the ship, those tour operators are in communication with the ship. So if there's a problem on the tour, they will notify the ship. The ship won't wait for you forever. However, they'll extend you far more courtesy than they would somebody who's doing an excursion all by themselves and just don't make it back to port. So if you decide to do an excursion on your own, the biggest challenge you'll need to do is get off the ship early. Get off the ship early, start your excursion early. That way you can get back early and be able to make it on board without any problems. The last thing you want to do is miss the ship, because the ship will leave you. Now, you certainly do have the option of staying on the ship, but the good news is that if you do decide to stay on the ship, there's plenty of things that you'll be able to do, and there is no line. Most people get off the ship. That means that there's going to be a lot less line, a lot more attentiveness for you if you are on board. So if there are things that you really wanted to do, but you just couldn't bother with waiting in line, and you decide to stay on board, that's the time to do it. If you're going to go off the ship, most people go to some beach area. Don't forget to take your towel. When you come back, there's a towel return, so you can bring a soiled towel back after being on the beach with all the sand and everything. Turn it in, get a fresh towel. Now, most of the things I've been talking about have been high energy activity. Going to shows, going to the sports court, going offshore. As some people are listening to this, they're sweating just thinking about it. The good news is that there is a spa. There's a relaxation. I go on vacation in order to have a good time, run around and do a bunch of stuff. That's not everybody's version of vacation. And as you can see, there's a nice relaxing spa. There's also a fully equipped gym. Now, it's not the prettiest gym I've ever seen on board a cruise ship. In fact, I don't think the gym had a lot of character to it at all. However, what it did have was a ton of equipment. And most people who go to that gym, they're not looking for all the bells and whistles when it comes to, making sure it's aesthetically pleasing. They just want to make sure that it has all the right workouts so they can get a full workout done. And you're not going to have any problems with getting a full workout on board this ship. The average cruiser gains a pound a day. So if you want to take a fitness class, that's usually going to be a good option. The only bad news is that it's not included. You can expect to pay anywhere from $10 to $20, or you can order a package for like $39. But there are fitness classes available on board. There is a jogging track, and it is a long jogging track, circles the entire ship, so you can get an idea of how long that is. One thing a lot of cruisers don't realize is that the low prices that you oftentimes get in order to get on board doesn't cover the cost of the cruise. So the cruise ship has to make it up in different ways, and that's what we're going to talk about next in this segment. And one of the ways that they do so is by shopping. There are plenty of opportunities for you to go and buy things that you don't want and you don't need. And the best deals, in my opinion, are going to be on the last day of the cruise. And they have the sidewalk shopping sales. You can get things like t-shirts. I usually get 2 t-shirts for like $30, $15 a shirt. That's a good deal for me. But you can get things like watches, perfumes, you name it, jewelry, clothing, lots of things that you can buy on board. Now, in addition to buying stuff, on occasion, they'll give you a free gift. And if they can, my thought is, if somebody giving you something for free, you're paying for it some way. You just have to figure out how. But they will give you like a free bracelet, and that's really just to get you inside the store. And it's very popular. And they'll give out these free bracelets, and you'll see the line here. It's super long, but I think it's kind of fun. I always go and get something for my wife. She enjoys that, so you know I'm good there. But there are free stuff that they're offer you on occasion when it comes to shopping. Some ships you go on, the crew's very aggressive when it comes to offering you merchandise, and they will hound you to no end. What I mean by that is you leave one crew member and you walk around and there's another crew member selling it. It just seems like you're constantly running into people who are trying to sell you. And the good news about being on Utopia is that wasn't the case at all. I felt that people were laid back. If you wanted to buy something, they're happy to help you. But outside of that, they weren't coming up to you, bombarding you, asking you all the time to buy. The next biggest upcharge, and this is by far the largest upcharge that they'll do, is going to be the drinking package. Now, most of the time they limit you to like 15 drinks per day. So in order to make the package work for you, you have to drink at least 10 drinks per day. And usually if you have multiple adults in your cabin, then all of those adults, whether they drink or not, have to buy the drinking package too as well. So you have to do the math before you leave your home in order to determine whether or not the drinking package works for you. Now, I will say this, if you plan on drinking while you're on board, I recommend you buy the drinking package before you leave your house. And the reason why is because the discounts that you receive before you actually board the cruise are actually going to be deeper than anything you can find on board. So it makes sense to think it through and make sure that if you're going to drink, get the package early. One of the things you want to consider when you get your package is, where is the ship headed to? If it goes to port and you plan to get off the ship for long periods of time on various different ports, you're not going to be drinking. Oftentimes, your drink package may not work even at your own private island. So you have to figure out where you're going, what you're doing, and whether or not you're getting off the ship makes the drink package work for you. Utopia of the Seas is a family-friendly ship. What I mean by that is you're going to find families, kids on board of all ages, teenagers, you name it. However, some people, even the parents, don't necessarily like being around their kids all the time. And the good news is about those passengers who want a more adult experience is that there's a place called the Solarium. You're looking at it right now, and it's an adult-only place. And the good news is that there are people in there that make sure the kids don't get in, and if they do get in, they tell them to leave. So they keep it adults only. It's located to the very back of the ship. It's covered by a huge dome. It's see-through, so it lets natural light in there. So no matter where you're going or what the temperature is outside, whether it's raining or anything else, you have a perfect condition location inside that's adults only. Some of the things you may have noted in the pictures that you're looking at, it has its own adult bar. It has its own whirlpool, so the whirlpools that are swarmed by kids in the main pool area, you don't have to worry about that here. It has a infinity pool area, and it has a lounge pool. So it has lots of things in here that are adult friendly. I recommend that if you want to have a more adult experience, get a cabin towards the back of the ship. That way you'll have easier access to this location, and it gives you a far better adult experience than you would, say, any other part of the ship. If you want to smoke, there is a dedicated smoking area, and the good news is that this is in a more centralized area. It's not tucked off to the side somewhere out of sight, out of mind, and it's open air, so those who don't want to deal with the smoke, you can walk through and not even notice that people are smoking there. One of the architectural marvels of the ship, and you can almost forget that it's even here, is going to be Central Park. It's absolutely beautiful. And the reason why they call it Central Park is because you look around and you see the foliage, all of the trees, shrubbery, and greenery that you see is 100% real. It's not fake, it's not artificial, and it's in the middle of the ship, and it has natural light that comes down. It's an absolutely beautiful space. There are dining areas available off to the side, as well as some shopping venues, but it is an absolute wonderful area. It has natural light that comes in. It is, again, I just can't express enough how much I enjoy this space. This is a family cruise ship, so you're going to find kids on board, and it's welcoming to families and kids of all ages. And the great thing about it is that kids have their own individual spaces that's just for them. As a parent, I recommend you take them there. And the reason why is because when I take my kids on board, they want to have fun with me, but they also want to meet other kids. And when you take them there, especially on the first day, from the very first day of the cruise, they start to meet kids on board, and they start to hook up, they meet, they play games together, and the kids enjoy the cruise, in my opinion, more with having friends on board than just hanging out with their family. In general, people who are on board a cruise ship tend to walk a lot more than they do when they're in their normal lives. We're talking thousands of steps more. However, the good news is that there are plenty of lush spaces and seats on board, because the reality is, even if you walk in 10 to 15,000 steps per day, you're not going to be on your feet most of the time. So there's lots of lush seating and comfortable areas where you can just relax or even sit down and have a quiet time to do some work. If you want to get a seat on the pool deck, that can be a little challenging at times. Well, if you've got enough money, somewhere along the lines of $270, you can rent your own personal cabana on board one of the pool decks, and it has a great view. Sometimes it comes with drinks, and you can have it for the entire day. You may be able to get deals as little as maybe $100 and maybe $50 or so, but you can pay to have great seating on board the pool deck. Now, in my opinion, is it worth it? No. However, do I see people buying it and using it? Yes. If you're concerned about running out of pool chairs, then don't. There are plenty available. The only challenge is that you may find one in a location that doesn't have a great view, but there are plenty of sun loungers available throughout the entire ship. When it comes to getting around, most people are going to use elevators, and they have smart elevators on board. So when you press the button for your elevator, it tells you what elevator shaft to go to. You have to wait there. Now, people tend to not like smart elevators, and they complain about it day and night aboard cruise ships. However, there was not a lot of complaining. Now, the thing about this smart elevator is that it didn't give you an estimate as far as how long the elevator would take to get there. I do like that there were lots of ship displays that helped you understand and orient you as to where you are and help you figure out where you want to go. I didn't like the fact, though, that the digital maps weren't smart. So some digital maps, you press buttons on the map and it tells you where you are, what's happening. It tells you a lot of information, where this doesn't tell any of that at all. It just kind of tells you where you are and where things are located around you. When it comes to motorized option, this was not a problem at all whatsoever. There were plenty of people I saw in various mobility devices, whether it be wheelchairs or scooters, that were getting around just absolutely fine. The corridors were large enough, and there was absolutely no problems whatsoever. The only challenge that you may face is trying to get on board an elevator during the busy dinner time. In my opinion, considering the fact that people eat massive amounts of food on board, if you have an option to use a stairs and you're going anything less than 3 floors, use the stairs. It'll burn some calories. The food will taste better because you'll be hungrier. So there were plenty of people just walking the stairs. There is internet on board, so internet strength used to be a problem, and it used to be spotty in some locations when it comes to cruise ships, but that's no longer the case. The internet signal is strong throughout the entire ship. So if you need to get on board and do work, or if you want to have internet, you're going to have reliable, steady service. Internet, oftentimes though, is not the problem. The problem is the cost. For more than, say, 2 to 3 days, you're looking at paying as much as you would for an entire week on land. So the internet cost is going to be strong and reliable, but it's going to be awfully expensive. Here's a pro tip to you to help save you money. I don't think most people realize how much they touch their phone and use their phone on a regular basis. And when you're on board, it can almost seem like withdrawal not having access to your phone and some internet services. But there are things that you can do to help bridge that gap. You can download a lot of stuff like movies, music, games, books, podcasts, shows. All these things can help keep you entertained until you get to port where you can get another internet signal. So there's ways around it. You just have to think ahead and also plan appropriately. Let's now talk about safety and security. I've seen videos online about people doing things on board cruise ships that makes me not want to be anywhere close to them, especially while I'm on vacation. Now, when it comes to whether or not this is a rowdy ship and what you can expect, disorderly type behavior, maybe drunkenness and disorderly behavior, you're not going to find it on board this ship. At least I didn't see it at all. And I would likely you're not going to see it at all. I've been on board those type of ships before, but this is not going to be one of them. This is a family-friendly cruise ship, and you're hardly going to see a security presence. In fact, just to get footage for this video, I struggled to find security staff, but you're not going to have a strong, heavy-handed security presence on board because there's really no need for it. If you like new ships that are shiny, that are pristine, that look fantastic, then you're going to like this ship. It's new. It was built in 2024. You're not going to see a lot of signs of wear and tear on board, and the staff was constantly working to make it look its best. You saw them cleaning, mopping, sweeping, dusting, shining, you name it. They were doing it to make the ship look absolutely beautiful. So when it comes to how the ship shows, it shows like a brand spanking new ship. You're not going to be able to see any signs of wear or tear. So if you like that part of it, then you're going to really enjoy being on board, because the crew and staff did a fantastic job making sure that this ship looked absolutely phenomenal. So I'm going to now do a cabin tour, and I'm going to also talk about how much I paid for the cruise and whether or not it's worth your time and money. When it comes to the cabin, real briefly, the cabin was very nice. It carried over that theme that you saw on the outside and the rest of the ship, very contemporary feel, and brought it into the cabin. I usually get the smallest cabin on board. However, this time I splurged and I got a balcony. So you can see a balcony cabin here, what it looks like. Now let's talk about cost, how much you should pay or are looking to pay for this cruise. Normally when I book a cruise ship, I get the smallest cabin on board. However, if you like a cabin that has more space, or if you don't like something that doesn't have natural light, or if you're claustrophobic and you feel you need a balcony, those are going to drive up the cost. So the cost I paid is going to be for a balcony type cabin. Now, give you some background as far as this cruise. I booked this cruise in the middle of the summer. So now we're looking at the high season. The high season is going to be the summertime. It's going to be when kids are out of school. So we're looking at any kind of holidays, and also during the winter time when we have winter break and then spring break. So these times are going to be elevated costs. So I'm paying more than I ordinarily would at any other time of the year. My out-of-pocket cost for a 4-night sailing to the Caribbean was $750. That's not a bad deal. It's not the best and cheapest that you can find during that time period, and the reason why is because it's a newer ship, and also it has the distinction of being one of the largest ships in the world. People like sailing on these ships because of all the amenities that I mentioned earlier in this video. So was it worth the almost $800? The answer is absolutely. I had a great time. If I would go back again if I can get more time and off work and have the money to boot. But I had a wonderful time and experience. I think you will as well. I definitely recommend the ship. There are so many checkpoints that it had that it's hard to say how someone would not enjoy their time on board. Now, if you like a more boutique ship, then maybe this is not going to be the right one for you, because this ship generally tends to be pretty full.